Ellie had always been fascinated by the old Victorian house that stood at the end of her street. The house had been abandoned for years, and its once beautiful facade was now cracked and covered in vines. But there was something about the house that drew Ellie to it, something that made her feel like it was calling out to her. One day, Ellie decided to explore the house. She climbed through a window on the first floor and started to wander through the empty rooms. The house was musty and filled with cobwebs, but Ellie felt like she was in a dream, surrounded by the faded glory of the past. As she made her way up the stairs to the attic, Ellie heard a strange noise. It sounded like a scratching or a tapping, coming from somewhere deep within the house. Ellie pushed open the door to the attic, and as she stepped inside, she saw a figure standing in the shadows. It was a woman, dressed in old-fashioned clothing, with long hair that hung in tangled strands around her face. Ellie screamed and tried to run, but the figure stepped forward and spoke in a soft, sad voice. "Please don't be afraid," the figure said. "I'm not going to hurt you." Ellie stopped in her tracks, transfixed by the figure in front of her. She realized that the woman was a ghost, and that she had been haunting the old Victorian house for years. The ghost introduced herself as Sarah, and she told Ellie her story. Sarah had been a young woman who had lived in the house with her family, but she had died tragically in a fire that had consumed the house. Since then, Sarah had been trapped in the house, unable to leave and unable to find peace. She had been wandering the empty rooms for years, searching for someone to talk to, and someone who could help her to find a way out. Ellie felt a deep sense of empathy for Sarah, and she knew that she had to help her. She spent the next few weeks researching the history of the house and the circumstances of Sarah's death. She discovered that Sarah had been wrongly accused of starting the fire, and that her spirit had been trapped in the house ever since. With the help of a medium, Ellie was able to communicate with Sarah and help her to find peace. Together, they performed a ceremony that allowed Sarah to move on to the next world, finally free from the old Victorian house that had trapped her for so many years. Ellie never forgot about the ghost in the attic, or the strange and wondrous experience that had changed her life forever.